you doing today, man?
I mean, it's beautiful fall day.
Yeah, man. It's about 60 degrees.
It's nice outside.
It looks beautiful outside.
It was raining, but earlier, but it's straight now.
Fall leaves are falling, man. It looks beautiful.
If you live in North Carolina, it's a beautiful state, beautiful time of year.
But also, Kaz, if you live in North Carolina, you should probably go outside more often and enjoy the beautiful weather instead of watching these two professional teams in this city.
Yeah, don't. Let me look in the camera and say, don't watch professional sports team unless you're a Canes fan. You can watch Canes.
You can watch the Canes, and you can still watch.
Although Bally will charge you an extra $20 a month to watch the Canes. That's if it works.
If it works, if the app
or the website works,
yep.
Then you could pay an extra $20 to watch a winning team.
And Spectrum won't let you have both of the Bally's.
No. Yeah,
cannot. Right?
Yeah.
So,
we're gonna do something different this week. We're gonna start with shout outs and shout outs before we get to talking about these two teams that don't deserve any attention. They don't deserve any attention.
Just a quick side note. We have a new phone number. I know we don't use the phone number a lot. We're not going to use it this week because it's my fault that it's not working this week. But next week, since next week will also probably be a shit show as well, you can call in and vent to us if you want to next week. But for now, like Kaza said, we're just going to start with shout outs. Let's just shout at people. I don't even want to talk about the game.
First of all, let's talk about the March on Mint. Let's talk about that. No one seems to know where it started or who started it.
I want to know who started it.
I want to know who started it.
Who started this goofy shit?
You won't march to Mint to go to the fucking game, but you'll march to protest. Plus, I mean, protesting.
Kaza, let me say this. Out of all the shit that goes on in the world in Charlotte to protest. This is what you get that passionate about, really?
6 years ago, I protested because I felt the city was not transparent in the shooting of an unarmed motorist. I got shot at with pepper spray bullets, rubber bullets, got gassed. We went out there night after night to protest.
Right.
Because we felt like that was an important cause, not just for the city, but for human and civil rights.
For humanity.
Yes.
Right.
And we actually marched past Mint. We went to Mint Street that night.
Right.
The 3 nights or however long it was. We went to the Pan. And if you remember, that same season, people marched on Mint Street during the Panthers-Vikings games.
Right.
To protest.
Right. But let's ignore that.
Yes.
And let's protest.
So if you weren't out there protesting for the rights of human beings, but you was planning on, they got canceled, thank God.
Thank God.
You know what? If the cops had come in and beat the shit out of, I'm just gonna say it because I don't get. If the cops had come in and beat the shit out of everybody that marched, I would have been like,
I would have been out there filming. Yeah. I would have been out there filming.
Rubber bullets, idiots. Pepper spray.
Why? You morons.
Yes, and AI used to make the poster.
Can we talk about the poster? Let's talk about the optics of the poster, Kaza.
Angry black dude.
Black dude in the front with a mob of white people behind him. Really? Really? Come on, man.
Who did? You know what? Who did it? If you did it, you come on the show.
Please come on the show and speak your piece. Please. What? Kaza, I love this city. I swear I do, man. But I swear to God, this city gets weirder and weirder every year.
I just when Jerry Valancourt, rest in peace.
Rest his soul, man. I miss that man so much.
I wish I could know what he would think about this bullshit. But he used to say, if you're unhappy with the product, then just don't support it. Don't.
That's the best. You know what my response is? You know what the best form of protest is? the damn Dallas Cowboys fans who are going to take over the stadium next week. That's the best form of protest.
That's what kills me. You don't go to the games.
You're not going to go. You're already protesting.
Now, if you're one of those people, if you're a PSL holder or whatever, season ticket holder, and you go to every game and you're upset, you actually, fans all over Panther Nation worldwide have a legitimate beef. They do. But protesting,
a march
on the stadium,
a march on the stadium, a march when nobody's there. You think anybody's gonna be there to listen? Think Tampa gives a flying? I'm sorry.
You know how embarrassing that would have been on a national scale.
It's already embarrassing. It's already embarrassing.
Like,
just luckily it didn't happen today.
People in Charlotte, the most cultureless city in maybe the world, are protesting in front of their stadium because their team sucks.
Oh my God, man! Not Cleveland, who went through 50 years, 50 years of not winning anything. Not Detroit.
Not
the Lions,
who went 0-16,
who were the most awful franchise in sports. Not them. No, not those guys. No, but Charlotte. You know, we 6 or 7 tough years, and we decide you know what, man. It's rarely that I'm speechless on the topic. I don't know what else to say.
I was, and of course, you know, people are making fun of it, and they should. But it's like the season is already bad enough. To where, you know,
so we got to be clowns on top of having a terrible football franchise right now. Unreal. I have always said I don't give a flying F how this sounds. I have always said this, and I will say this again. Charlotte sports fans are another breed sometimes.
I don't understand it. And I'm from I am a Charlottean.
Listen,
I've been raised here since
Kaza.
Since I was 2 months old.
Everybody shares the frustration of the lack of success around Charlotte sports franchises, but a lot of Charlotte fans are just not sensible. That is beyond nonsense.
And here's the thing. Like, I am fully supportive of fans saying the product sucks, so I'm not going to support it. That's absolutely what you should do.
You can speak out. You can be angry.
But Charlotte fans are already not supporting the product anyway.
Just don't continue to not go.
In fact, one could argue the product sucks because people aren't supporting it. If you're a Panthers player and you know that every home game is a road game, how you going?
What do you expect your team to do? What do you expect?
Yes, free Sir Purr.
Free Sir Purr.
Free the bear. All right, let's see what other shout outs we need before we get to talk about these.
That's enough. I mean, there's nobody deserves a bigger shout out than these clowns.
Oh, James Harden. I know that's not Charlotte shit, but
hey, that's fine,
bro.
Did you see the Dallas Mavericks announcer flame him? Did you see that clip?
All facts.
Just for 100%.
For like 2 minutes straight.
Couldn't have said it better.
Facts.
Couldn't have said it any better.
And the Clippers are 0-4
since they acquired him.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at that roster, and this makes me mad as a Hornets fan. That team should not lose any more games ever in the history of ever.
Kaza.
You got Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden
on the same team.
You got 4 top 75 players, 4 top 10. You took the 10 best players in the NBA. Their 4 names, maybe not Russell Westbrook, but he right outside of it.
Right.
Their name's going to be on it. If they don't win a championship this year,
it's a failure.
LA fans need to march on the Staples Center if they don't win a championship.
Because I could have swore somebody on this show, somebody on this show said, you got new billionaire owners who like to come in and do what? Shake things up and make moves, and the optics look great because the fans are like, oh my God, the owner cares. He's making moves and trades. Yeah. And it doesn't always work. You know why? Because you kill your lack of continuity.
Yes. You can't just throw, contrary to popular belief, you can't throw talent at a team. It almost never works.
Never works.
I mean, if you look at built super teams, not grown super teams,
Right.
built super teams. Realistically, how many of those teams have ever won a championship?
Outside of the Miami Heat, which is an outlier, because I mean we're talking LeBron James,
but they lost.
But they
lost
a team that was supposed to win 6, 7, 8, blah 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 blah.
They lost to the team that they had no reason, had no business beating the Heat.
But it just proves our point, man.
Yeah,
like
exactly,
the Mavericks were a team who had the continuity and the structure, and everybody played their role accordingly. You know,
I mean, look at the Toronto Raptors 2019.
Hello.
So,
well. You know, enough of talking championships because we don't know what that feels like around.
Hey, we might win the in-season tournament.
We don't know what that feels like around here, man.
If the Hornets win the in-season tournament, I might organize a march on Spectrum Center because that would be the most Hornets thing ever.
What? Look, I hate to sound so negative, but that would be more of an indictment on how goofy the in-season tournament is.
Yes.
The Hornets win.
They're like, the Hornets are 1-0 in group play. Who gives a shit?
Who cares? I don't care. It's like, why even show this right now?
It doesn't, and it's not even like if you look at like Euro Premier League soccer,
right, man.
Their in-season tournament results don't count against their regular season. They're not part of the regular season. Right. It's a true in-season tournament.
Right.
This is not that.
Oh boy. Wait, is this everybody goofy right now? Is that goofy? Just goofy. Just dumb.
Why do we continue to think billionaires know what they're doing just because they make money? That's another shout out to people talking about what the owners need to be doing.
Because when a certain owner was here, it was what he needed to be doing every 5 minutes. So
these new guys need to step in and do something like what? Like what are they supposed to do?
Kaiser, they're supposed to they're billionaires, so they you know, and look, and since they're extra famous, they're supposed to have this magic wand.
That's
like,
right.
Yeah, the team, we have a team now. It's supposed to be that.
You know what the new owners aren't doing? Just call J. Cole. Just call
Cole will fix everything.
Yeah, that's what people told me. That's what the people on the Hornets group told me.
Because Cole gonna call Chris Paul to be the backup point guard. Yes. Cole gonna bring in Steph Curry, LeBron. We good, man. I don't
understand why J. Cole's not doing anything. All right, let's talk about these sorry ass Panthers. The Carolina Panthers played on possibly the worst matchup on Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football. Now, Thursday Night Football has a history of just being garbage games for some reason.
This was,
and they're even worse because it's a schedule fuck.
Right.
Like you only given 4 days, you know, and if you won Sunday, you can't take a day off like a lot of teams will take what they call Victory Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But if you won, you can't even take a Victory Monday because you got to be ready to play. And if you're on the road, that's even worse because that's a travel day. Essentially, you only really get 2 days in between games.
And if you're sorry, you know, it makes it even worse. Yeah. If you're a bad team, you know, so.
So I would like to look at the ratings on Panthers Bears because I know nobody, maybe out of like macabre, morbid curiosity, people watch this game just to see how sorry these and they was both sorry. They were both sorry as hell. It was just like who could be more sorry Thursday night.
And not you know, every blue moon you'll get two bad teams to play, and you'll get like an entertaining game. Like somehow but this wasn't even entertaining. It was not an entertaining football game.
Now we did predict the Panthers would lose this game. I think originally we said 9-6, and then we said, we forgot DJ Moore and Deontay Foreman we're gonna want to show out.
So Deontay Foreman, who had pretty much the game-ending touchdown.
Yeah. So I think we said 17-10. That wasn't too far from the score. 16-13. The Bears ended up winning in a game where nobody gave. Well, first of all, nobody gave a shit because the Bears, if they won, which they did,
win-win situation, buddy.
That's great because now the pick you got from the Panthers is worth more. If you lost, that means your own first-round pick is worth more. And the Panthers still sorry as hell. So you're gonna get the Bears are gonna get the number 1 and 2 picks in next year's draft, and they're gonna draft. If they're smart, they'll draft a quarterback. But
I think they're gonna go Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.,
which is, I think, the way to go.
Yep.
And then you trade off Justin Fields. Tyson Bagent.
Who's that?
Who? What the hell? Here's what's crazy. He didn't even outplay Bryce Young, but he didn't have to.
He didn't have to.
He didn't have to.
He didn't have to.
Poor Bryce Young.
Yeah.
By the way, like,
did you see how defeated Bryce Young looked at?
That's the first time this entire season he looked like, man, fuck this shit.
What did I sign up for?
Yes. Yeah. Why does my own team hate me?
Right.
Even in the huddle, when they had the close up of the huddle, and a lot of times, the quarterback, he's the guy. Right. So he's in the huddle. Not only is he getting the play out, but he's telling guys, hey, you guys need to block. When you met, da.
Yep. I'm
watching the huddle, and motherfuckers ain't even listening to him. They're just like whatever.
Checked out. Everybody's checked out.
Yeah, they're like, man,
checked out.
Yeah,
it checked out. And I look, man, I mentioned, and I still don't think this is the case. But last week I mentioned, how concerned are we about Bryce Young being shell shocked from, all the hits he's taken, all the losses he's taken this season. And I don't think he's shell shocked. However, with the team around him being so checked out, there's another concern now.
Oh, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And that can be just as dangerous on a young quarterback as, being shell shocked.
By the way, the Bears, dead last in sacks before coming into this game.
And they got
dead last.
And they had what, 3?
3 sacks.
Yep.
The Panthers, no sacks.
But
none.
Let's not even talk about the number of sacks. Let's talk about the amount of times somebody was in his face on every snap.
Every play. The worst pass rush team in the league is to me, I gotta think that means you've given up.
Yep.
You've given up. I mean, I know the O-line is bad, but when you're that bad to where a team that is like single digit sacks through 9 weeks gets not, they could have had a lot more sacks, but Bryce Young actually did something this week that he hadn't been doing, and that is just get rid of the ball when he's under pressure and no one's open.
Look, man, and I'll give him props. I mean, even though he almost threw one in I think the fourth quarter, I think the linebacker show blitzed and he dropped back and he just dropped the interception, but he didn't throw any picks, and I'll give him props for that. I mean, because if you're under siege the whole entire game, man,
I was just frustrated watching the Panthers on offense because I knew that as soon as the ball was snapped, it was going to be 3 or 4 linemen in Bryce Young's face.
Right.
I'm just a guy that's on a podcast. So I don't know shit.
But you know what we really need to talk about? We need to talk about the coaching in this game. Frank Reich, what the hell?
Okay, actually, I'm going to give Frank Reich just a little apology here.
I want to hear this.
Because the first 6 weeks, we said, man, this offensive play calling shit.
Right.
Give it to Thomas Brown.
Yep.
You know what? Offensive play calling still shit.
It didn't get any better. To be fair.
Exactly.
To be fair.
It's the exact
any better.
same. So I'm going to give Frank Reich a little bit of reprieve there.
Right. I get you. I understand.
But everything else.
Dude.
So I mean, I'm gonna say something outlandish.
Go for him.
Matt Rule was better his first year as a Panthers coach than Frank Reich was, because at least you could see what Matt Rule was trying to do.
Right.
He was like, we're gonna build a defense, and he did.
He did.
He built a top 10 defense.
He did that.
And it's just that Matt Rule was not good college shit. Okay, right. College shit. He wasn't good at the NFL stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So Frank Reich, who has been in the NFL literally for 35 years as a player and coach, and he's been a head coach before, he can't even get the NFL shit right. He can't build. He came in to build an offense. It's like, okay, the previous coach built a solid, not elite, but solid defense.
Right.
We need a solid offense, and then we can build on that. He's not doing it.
I'll say this though, and I can't believe I'm defending him a little bit here, but I'll defend him a little bit in this sense. I don't think he should get all the smoke for that. I think Scott Fitterer needs to share at least half of the smoke.
Scott Fitterer's got to go. Yeah. I feel like somebody
got to go.
Somebody's head got to roll.
Because listen, I feel like we've been saying the same thing for like 6 years, man. It's just like owner, GM, coach not on the same page. And I feel like I've been saying that about both of these damn teams for like 6-7 years. But again, Tepper, I'm about to say Rule. Tepper, Fitterer, Reich not on the same page. And I say that because now I will, in Reich's defense, I will say this: he does not have the pieces to do what ultimately he wants to do. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Listen, I go back to this clip that I heard Tepper say a few months ago. Well, Bryce Young is kind of like the point guard. We don't need a bunch of big name guys. Are you what?
I'll say this. I will say this. You could get away with having a mediocre wide receiver core if your O-line, if they could protect Bryce Young,
it'll look a lot better.
It would look a lot better.
I'll give you that.
I think the offense would be straight, honestly.
Yeah, no doubt.
But the O-line
is so bad.
They're so bad. They cannot run block. They can't
do anything.
Block.
They
can't. They get easily confused on basic defensive concepts.
Right.
Teams don't even have to run stunts. They can just
straight up.
You can just straight up run right at Ike Ekwonu and put pressure on Bryce.
But not only they don't have to run stunts, they don't even have to blitz. Yeah, they don't have to bring anybody.
They're bringing 4, and then dropping everybody else in the coverage, which sucks if you're a quarterback.
Right.
Because now you got no open holes to throw to.
Right.
And you got to wait for someone to get open. By the way, there's a guy in your face because your number 4 pick left tackle couldn't stop.
And we always, we've made mention like, oh man, we need to throw the ball. We need to throw the deep ball more, but you don't have time. Like, you don't have time for anything to develop, man.
A few weeks ago, I don't recall who it was against. It was a game where Bryce Young actually was in the box score, played well, but something like 50%, over half of his passes were either behind the line of scrimmage or like at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And fans complained. But I mean, there's context to that.
Right.
Do you think that he wanted to throw 2-3 yards behind the line of scrimmage?
He didn't have time.
Of course not. He's got to throw there because that's who's open and that's all the time he's got.
Let me ask you a hot takey question here, man. Is it too early to call Ekwonu a bust? Is it too early?
No, because it's only his second season and he looked capable his rookie season. I gotta think it's coaching. I gotta think there's only one thing that changed. Maybe not one thing. But there's one major thing that changed between this Panthers team and last year's team.
Right.
And that is the coaching staff.
Right.
Okay. So we did get we got a younger quarterback, but I'm not even convinced that Bryce Young is like worse than Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, or Andy Dalton.
Right.
Okay.
Same. No doubt.
So what changed? Okay. So you lost DJ Moore, but we lost DJ Moore before the season ended, and we lost Christian McCaffrey halfway through the season.
Right.
Essentially, this team, this defense, and a possibly worse offense on paper, almost challenged for the division title.
Yeah.
Because of Steve Wilks. And you could just tell the way he talked to those guys, the way they listened to him. He was like, okay, we are the Carolina Panthers. Steve Wilks, who has a history with the Panthers, by the way. And I know Frank Reich does, but Steve Wilks has I think he's closer to the identity of the Panthers. He knew, look, we're the Carolina Panthers. We run the ball. Yep. We play defense. That's what we've done for almost 30 years now. That's what we're going to do. You bring Frank Reich in, and he's like, we're going to pass more than any team in the league, even though we have the worst offensive line in the league. How does that make sense?
Because your owner came in and said, hey, man, we want to switch the whole identity of this thing. I got to put my input on my footprints on this franchise.
This is a good point by Chris. They're using more of a zone blocking scheme this year, and it doesn't fit them as well.
No doubt.
They don't have the personnel to run the schemes on both sides of the ball they want to run. We talked about this when they talked about switching to a 3-4, and we've seen them back off the 3-4 a little more because I think they're realizing, okay, this ain't going to work,
right.
Plus injuries.
And again, but like we alluded to, they don't have the personnel to do it. Right.
I don't think they have the personnel for a zone blocking scheme because when you need athletic guys who can step out and create those zone blocks. They just don't
have it.
Instead of, I think what Frank Reich is trying to do is he has a system and he's trying to make players fit into that system instead of saying, okay, who do I have? Okay, let's build around their capabilities.
You remember our favorite offensive coordinator? You know, the one, the one, you know, the guy that we hold his picture up every night and we look at it, like, man, I wonder what this guy's doing.
You ever seen that? Hello, you ever seen that meme where Wolverine laying in bed?
Yeah, that one. That's what I mean.
That's with Rob Chudzinski.
Yeah. But the point I'm making is, remember, he catered his offense around his guy. Instead of him saying, you know what, I'm Chud and you're going to run what I want to run. Like, he said, I got Cam Newton. I got this weapon. And I'm going to try to maximize this weapon to the best of my ability. And he did. But we got a bunch of coaches and owners and coordinators with egos who are like, no, we don't care what you really are. You're going to run our stuff. And here we are. So
this is a good point I want to go to. And we'll talk about the game in a minute. I swear, y'all. 75% of Panthers fans didn't want Steve Wilkes. That is 100% true. Where y'all at?
Where y'all at?
I don't see. They're the ones marching on Mint Street. And I remember when the Frank Reich hire was made, and a lot of us were angry at that hiring. People were, well, Steve Wilkes wasn't going to get it done. And it's like, he had a better record than the previous coach did.
In half a season.
In half a season, had a better record, had more wins than the other guy had in 3 or 2.5.
Right. Charlotte sports fans get what they deserve every single time, man.
All right, let's look at the box score. Everybody sucked. Let's see.
Dude, before we get to the box score, there was a sequence in that game that just kind of summed up the whole season. Panthers got great field position, I believe, on a punt.
Yep.
They were on their own 40-yard line, Kaza. They were set up to at least tie the game or to take the lead. The opportunity was right there.
Right.
You end up with 1st and 35 because of stupid penalties.
Which, what made me really mad about that is that they were able to wipe those penalties out and get back to the starting point. But if you hadn't had those penalties, guess what? You would have scored a touchdown. So this team is any undisciplined team that is 100% on the coaching staff. 100%. Panthers lead the league in penalties. By comparison, when Ron Rivera, who everyone hated, by the way,
right,
the Panthers were the least penalized team in the league during his tenure. Why do you think that is? Look at the difference in a guy like Ron Rivera, who a lot of people didn't like because he was very rigid and sometimes conservative.
Right.
But
however, he didn't have these problems. And one more thing. Then the decision to throw Eddie Penny, our favorite guy.
Hey, dog, why don't you
go kick a 59-yarder.
The longest
in Chicago. In windy Chicago. Yes.
Dog, I stepped away from the game at that point. I went in the office and started playing RoboCop is a great game. That game is really
that game. Yeah,
game's really fun. I started playing that because I was like, why you need a touchdown at some point.
Jesus Christ, man.
You had gone for it on 4th practically the entire game.
If you go for it on 4th and we don't get it for some reason, I think everybody would have said, "Hey, man, we just did."
And here's the thing: Eddie Pinheiro is actually a really good kicker.
He is one of the best in the league, in my opinion.
But don't put him in that position
in Chicago. What are you thinking about?
That was playing not to lose in a game you were already losing. You play not to lose if you've got the lead. If you're down, why? That's the worst play call of Frank Reich.
You are 1-8. What the hell are you still being conservative about? What do you have to lose at this point?
Yeah, they don't have any 10-yard routes. No, 10 yards. The offensive line can't hold long enough for 10 yards. Actually,
that's a good point, Chris.
Bryce Young should have just been like, I'm running this.
I throw him just bootleg.
Yeah, just. I mean,
good point, Chris. Amazing.
Yeah. Defensive coaches do tend to have more disciplined teams. I do notice that, but fuck these guys. I don't. Offensive MVP. Let's see.
Offensive MVP.
Bryce Young for not dying, for like actually not literally dying on the field.
Yeah.
Not
my offensive MVP, but shout out to somebody named Michael Strahan.
41 catch for 45 yards.
And then we said, let's not throw it again. Let's not throw the ball anymore.
Okay,
too much success.
Sit down.
Yeah,
you're done.
Oh, we needed a deep threat all season, but
he's
offensive MVP Bryce Young, man, because for the same reasons, just for not getting or turning the ball over.
Johnny Hecker, 6 punts, averaged 45 yards a punt,
co-MVP,
3 in the 20.
Yeah.
Longer 55. Shout out to Johnny Heck. What are we gonna do when he retires? He like 73 years old. So
he need to be in the Wall of Fame.
Yeah, put him in the Hall of Honor.
Oh man. Defensive MVP, I'm gonna go Derrick Brown, man. I thought Derrick Brown looked good. He's like the lone bright spot on this team.
Derrick Brown, Frankie Louvu also.
Always. I mean, every week.
Here's the thing. This is very important, and this goes with Ronald's question. Do you think they'll make any changes this offseason? So here's the thing. They got to re-sign Frankie Louvu, right?
Yeah.
But if you're Frankie Louvu, do you re-sign with these guys?
Why would you?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Because do you believe it's going to get better right now?
A lot of teams would take Frankie Louvu, I don't know if he would make a Pro Bowl. He should have made the Pro Bowl last season.
Yeah.
But
he got robbed last season.
Yeah, a lot of teams will pay, even, the Panthers could pay Frankie Louvu what he's worth, right. But if you're him, why would you stay here?
Why would you come back? Why?
Especially if they don't re-sign Brian Burns, which they'll probably franchise him. But
why not go to a contender and make a lot more money than you're making now?
Why not go join McCaffrey in San Francisco, or go to the Eagles like Hassan Reddick did, or go anywhere else? But as Carolina,
and win football games in the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have good coaching.
I don't get it, bro.
Have a city where their fans aren't marching
for goofy shit. Yeah. Fake passion. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Fake passion.
Oh, man. All right. So the Panthers next play.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Do we even have to talk about this? So
they play the Dallas Cowboys next week.
It always gets worse. I'm going to just – God, man. Lord Jesus.
Okay, so they're not going to win this game.
No.
Okay?
No.
Their only hope is that the Dallas Cowboys, because sometimes I will say this about the Cowboys, they're
going to sleep sometimes.
Yeah, they get full of themselves sometimes, and they
like their fans.
Yep, they fall into some trap games.
Yep,
and they could mess around and
do a Cowboys thing.
Right.
However, I think me and you are not predicting that.
No,
right.
I'm gonna say they're gonna put up a 30 burger.
Yep.
I'm gonna say 38-7.
Same. I'll go the same.
I might say 10. They might get a garbage time field goal.
I'll go exactly the same. We rarely do the same score, but I'll go the same score. I will.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I'm thinking, quite honestly, my first thought was like 40 something.
Also, this is actually what makes me really mad. It's a home game, but we know what that means.
Not a real home game.
It's going to be a road game.
It's a home away game.
Yeah. In fact, I'm the control. Let me look in the camera and say this. I love you guys. Men, we don't tell each other we love each other enough. I love you guys because you guys allow me to come on and you guys like to hear what me and Maul have to say and we can interact with you guys. I love you guys. And that is the only reason I'm watching this game next week. That is the only reason, because I know on TV it's going to be a bunch of fans, Cowboys fans in the stands. And I might even go to this game.
Really?
I might, because
really,
if I'm gonna watch it, why not just go and be part of the misery?
Yourself, man?
Be part of the misery.
I might go to a tailgate, honestly, but
let me know. Okay. Me and Mom might.
Let's do the tailgate.
Yeah, we might do that.
Now it's my turn. Under construction. For those of y'all who know me personally, y'all know if there's one thing in life I hate more than anything in life, if it's one thing y'all know I hate more than taxes, I hate more than anything, it is the Dallas Cowboys and their fans. Next week, I am look for those of you maybe you're not religious, but if you are, throw one up for me next week. Next week is going to be extremely painful for me because the team that I hate the most is going to kick our ass on national TV. It's gonna be embarrassing. The shot of the Cowboys fans in the stadium is gonna be embarrassing. The game is gonna be embarrassing. Just please just throw one up for me next week. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be really bad.
The commentators are gonna take every opportunity to slurp on the Cowboys.
Yep.
Willie says we should have another live show at the brewery.
We should.
Actually, no. I might just go to the brewery. Will, if you want to show up, I'll buy you a drink, bro. I don't want to, like, when we go to Scott's restaurant, right. I want to be like, live, like
in the moment,
right? Like, hey, yo, we're here with our boy Scott at Firehawk. It's not gonna be like that. It's just gonna be anger next week. So you might see us at the bar.
We ain't gonna do that show next week, right?
We might come here, do the show, and then head to the brewery to drink our troubles away. But
it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think that might be the plan.
It's not a bad idea. Hey, by the way, total side note. I probably shouldn't even say this on camera. Summit Beer Shop Wednesday, day before my birthday.
Oh, we'll
try not to be old and come out, man.
Okay, I'll be there.
All right, cool.
Man. I think that's payday for me too. So I can be a payday millionaire.
So you can buy me a beer too,
I'll be balling for like 2 days, and then I'm broke again. All right.
Moving on.
Enough of these. These clowns.
To the other depressing team.
Okay, so last week, me and Jamal were really feeling ourselves.
Hey, excuse me. You got some makeup. It's like, I need clown makeup.
Yeah. We was really feeling ourselves, and we picked the Charlotte Hornets to go 3-0 this week.
I knew I would regret it.
They did not go 3-0.
I knew I'd regret it.
They went 1-2.
I knew I'd regret it.
So they played Washington back-to-back, and they lost the first matchup in a game they should have won, and the score was not even as close as it was. A 16-point win for Washington. It should have been a 40-point win.
Seriously, the way they played defense that game.
And then they come back and they play it, and that was a home game. Then they play in Washington and play like shit for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden LaMelo Ball is like, oh shit, I forgot that I'm
LaMelo Ball.
Best player on the court.
Best player on the court.
Goes crazy. Him, Brandon Miller, and Gordon Hayward had an incredible fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Close out the game, end up winning by 7. They come into the Knicks game. They start off looking okay. Both teams are pretty shit on defense.
And then in true Hornets luck fashion,
Brandon Miller,
who was about to go off today.
No, they couldn't. They had Jalen Brunson on Brandon Miller, and it was not looking good
at all.
Yep. And then he sprains his ankle. Does not return. Leaves the game. Does not return.
Hornets luck.
So that means that we see JT Thor, Teo Maladome, Bryce McGowan get extended minutes.
Kaza.
And it wasn't pretty as the Knicks win 129-107 in a game that wasn't even that close.
Before we talk about these games, we try not to be too hot takey on this show. Here's Jamal's hot take today. If the Hornets are serious about making the playoffs, if the playoffs is truly their goal, Mitch Kupchak's going to have to do something about this bench. And when I say do something, I mean swing some type of move that I don't really know how, but quite honestly, he's going to have to improve this bench.
So we talked about this.
And one more thing. I think it is pretty damn obvious that we are regretting not having Kelly Oubre and Dennis Smith Jr. on this team right now.
Kelly Oubre is that
and look, and prayers up for Kelly Oubre, who got struck by a car, man. So prayers up for Oubre, man.
He should. I wish they could have kept him in Charlotte.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a text between me and our boy JG, who's in the chat before the season started, and I can't find it. But essentially, I said something that the Hornets have no depth. And it's gonna hurt them this season.
It's biting us in the ass.
And we talked about this on the show.
Yeah.
And it's showing its ugly head.
It sure is, man.
Because the starters actually look really good. Gordon Hayward
is playing really good this season, man.
He put the kids to bed the other night against Washington.
Right, no doubt.
It was all right, no kids. Doubt. I'm the adult in the room. Time for y'all to go to sleep.
Right.
He's looking good. Brandon Miller it looked shaky at the 2, filling in for Terry, but he came alive and he was looking good in the Knicks game. LaMelo Ball is shaking off the rust. Mark Williams, boy, y'all give Mitch some credit
for that.
Right. And so let's stop talking about Jay. We could have had Jalen Duren too. Why are we keeping both of them? That's dumb.
Right.
So the starters look really good, right? But as soon as I've been hating on Coach Clifford for his terrible rotations, but at the same time, I can see the pained look on his face when he has to make a sub. when guys get tired and he knows
he don't want to take him out.
I can tell he's
Right.
like, crap.
Right.
Now I got to bring in Maladon and
Right.
JT Thor.
Right. Right.
And I can just see it like it's
because I look, man. A lot of fans talk about rotations. This conversation has been going on since the JB days about coaches' rotations, and my response is, look, I get it, but you can't play anybody 48 minutes, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
You can't play everybody 48 minutes. You can't play everybody. But to your point, with this kind of revolving door around injuries with the Hornets, if we're being objective, man, that puts Clifford in a tough spot. If we're being objective, and again, I don't always there was I think maybe the second Wizards game, I was like, okay, man, Mark's been on the bench a little like why is he not playing a little more? You understand? Hey.
So the only thing I could think of is Gallinari.
Tough matchup.
Very tough matchup. He's got quick feet, and because Gallinari can shoot it from so well outside,
right.
I don't think Clifford liked the fact that he was pulling Mark away from the basket,
right,
and forcing him to guard outside. And I think
that was a huge problem.
Yeah, and I think he thought that PJ would be better in that matchup because he's got quicker feet and he can defend out there.
And he can switch.
But the problem is that now without Mark or even Nick Richards down low, you're missing out on rebounding and rim protection. That was a tough situation for Clifford. I'm not an NBA coach. I'm just a guy on a podcast. But I would have taken my chances with keeping one of my best players out there.
Now, to be fair, the second game, there was an adjustment. And you didn't hear as much Gallinari. No. You know what I'm saying? There was not as much. And, God, the first game, man, let me tell you what frustrated me and pissed me off more than anything about that first game. Dude, Corey Kispert and Denny Avia were getting to the lane whenever they felt like it. And I'm sorry, I got to give some smoke to LaMelo. That was one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen, dude. It was horrible.
What frustrates me about that is we know Melo can play defense.
Right. But he just doesn't try all the time.
Maybe I would think that it was a scheme thing, but Steve Clifford is known as a defensive-minded coach.
He did make an adjustment the second game, but go ahead.
Melo gambles a lot on defense.
Yes, he does.
And on offense.
Yes.
He's just that kind of player.
Right.
If he was in the NFL, he'd be the gunslinger,
yeah,
right?
He'd be Brett Favre. Yeah.
Right. So I think on defense, instead of just playing disciplined defense,
just stay in front of your man.
That's it. He's always trying to cheat and help and get in passing lanes.
And he overhelps a lot.
And if he does like he did Tyrese Halliburton at the end of the Pacers game last week, I think he'd be fine. We would have
won 2 more games if he played defense like that.
Yeah, but he's not doing that. And it's frustrating. And what teams are doing is
they're picking on him.
They're picking on him and then pulling our bigs away from the basket.
Exactly.
They're making Mark Williams shouldn't have to make these life decisions about whether or not he needs to stay in the paint to defend or if he needs to step out to help on a big who can stretch.
I almost think the NBA is a copycat league to a certain extent. Here's why I'm saying that, because that was a big problem with the Brooklyn Nets game, because when they were putting Dorian Finney-Smith at the center, Mark Williams, he couldn't do anything. I mean, that's no fault of his, but ever since that game, the teams were operating the same way. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Do you think our bench will get better after they trade Hayward and Terry? So I think everyone assumes
they're not trading Hayward and Terry. They're not. Not at this point.
I don't think you can keep both of them. I think by the trade deadline, one of them has to go, and I think it'll be Hayward because he's got the expiring contract. He's playing well, and you can always grab him again next season as a free agent.
Here's the thing.
Cheaper.
Here's the context we have to include with that. What are the Hornets' goals this season? We said this last week. If you get to the deadline and you are clearly out the playoff picture, I see that going down. But if you're still contending for a playoff spot, I personally don't see that kind of trade happening.
It depends because Brandon Miller
and plus it depends on what you get back.
Brandon Miller is the linchpin here.
Yeah.
If he plays really well and he continues to play well,
you can trust him,
and you can trust him, which I think we've seen he's done. He had some as a starter. He was kind of shaky.
Right.
It looks like he's he's going to be fine in that role. Then you could maybe say, okay, we can trade off Hayward for some assets or for some better role / bench players because Miller will start at the small forward spot.
You know what would have made this a lot easier if Kelly Oubre was
just keeping Kelly Oubre.
That would have made this a lot easier.
That's the most puzzling.
It's puzzling.
I've been very defensive of Mitch,
and I don't know how to defend that.
But I can't defend that
or Dennis Smith Jr. because Dennis Smith Jr. took pennies to be with Brooklyn. You understand what I'm saying?
I
understand he wanted a different role.
I think he wanted a bigger role, and he knew that he wasn't going to get it behind LaMelo.
Which, by the way, he still ain't got in Brooklyn.
Right?
But
whatever. But I think his chances are better there. He knew. DSJ knew here in Charlotte, it's going to be the Melo show at point.
No doubt.
And that's it.
But it and I don't disagree, but it just sucks, man, because listen, when LaMelo went out, and I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that Dennis Smith Jr. is as good as or better than LaMelo. However, it kind of felt like a lot of times you didn't miss a beat because what he bought on defense, you could trust him. You understand what I'm saying? And I want more guys like that off the bench that you can trust. You understand? Yeah. Again, he's not as good as LaMelo Ball, but it just feels like
he's better than Theo Maledon, who Theo Maledon and JT Thor. And they're okay. Love. I mean, they're in the NBA, but you can't.
Right, this is not a long-term solution. And Theo actually started the season well, but he's like, I can't defend that dude today, man.
Was Mitch betting on Bryce fill that role for Oubre? Yeah, clearly he thought that somebody was going to step up and be
or
that
Nick
guy.
Smith Jr. or
Brandon Miller or whoever.
Right. Right.
Clearly that's not the case.
Right. That's a good question.
Bridges will be a big boost off the bench, and we'll probably see him replacing Oubre's production. I think what's going to happen is that Bridges might come off the bench initially, but he'll be starting in a few games.
That starting job is his. Yeah.
The biggest thing with the bench is that we'll see less of like JT Thor, right? And when Terry comes back, we'll see less of Maledon.
Right.
So, but having said that, I mean, depth is important. That's how you get in the playoffs and then win, because you at least need 3 players worth of depth on your bench in the playoffs.
Right.
Because you're going to go 8 deep.
Because you got to trust them too, man. That's it. Man, again, Maledon and Thor are not guys you want to throw in regular rotation, man. So
yeah, where is Bryce McGowan? Remember, that was my guy.
To be fair, I'm going to try to be objective here with Bryce McGowan. We forget that he's also coming off injury as well. He probably spent summer rehabbing too. I'm trying to be fair. You understand?
That's true.
He's
not getting any burn. Obviously, the coach sees something in Theo Maledon that, although, like I said, Theo Maledon is okay. He's a
fill-in. He doesn't need to be the.
Yeah, he's not going to be the de facto backup point guard for the Charlotte Hornets.
Right. But who is now? That's the question.
Just roll with Nick Smith Jr. I know he's not a point. He's a combo guard, but
we said that in the offseason. And this dude is only getting in garbage time. So what is that really?
You made trades to get him in the first round.
You invested in him.
At this point, what do you got to lose playing him? Man. You losing the game anyway. You might as well play him.
Theo Maledon can't hit a damn outside shot to save his life. So.
Yeah, him and JT Thor. I'm just saying, I don't condone violence, but maybe those guys shouldn't walk around Charlotte.
They shouldn't go to South End.
Because first of all, JT Thor, he 7'12", but you can see him. You'd be like, yo, I know who that is. And so you can't hide. So that's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't run up on JT Thor.
I wouldn't run with JT Thor, right? He looked like he might keep that thing
he
on
might
him.
swing on you, though.
Yeah. If they don't trade Terry this year, do you resign him after his contract is up after next year? So
probably not.
Probably not. You're not going to let him go into free agency.
Yeah.
If you don't make a deal this next year or trade him, then you would certainly trade him the next season.
Right.
People just want to trade Terry because his value is as high as it's probably ever been and maybe going to be.
And I think also people are kind of tired of having a 6'3" 2 guard, 6'4" 2 guard. I think they want the prototypical.
But you know what?
Guard.
We're missing him.
Badly.
Terry Rozier was averaging 24 points a game before he went out. We're not getting that. We're missing that 24 points.
I think LaMelo misses Rozier because LaMelo, he has all the load now. You understand what I'm saying? Like the ball handling stuff, that's all LaMelo right now.
Yeah, and as much as we hated seeing the Terry Rozier play point in the rotations, he's way better option than anybody else.
Yeah,
we're missing Terry right now. I don't see how you trade him.
Yeah.
Now to be fair, I felt like Brandon Miller was starting to make the ascension as a starting two guard, and boy, wouldn't that be a fun backcourt?
No doubt.
Brandon Miller, who is like 6'7", Jalen Brunson was able to score because early in the game because he's Jalen Brunson, he's a good player. But the Knicks were trying to switch Brandon Miller off of Jalen Brunson.
Absolutely.
And I mean, they were not gonna let that matchup happen. And then on the other end of the floor, Brandon Miller was like, I could just shoot over this dude. I can
just shoot over this little
from like 15 feet out. He had that little mid range. He was playing like Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
Like I can tell.
Yeah,
I'm not in practices, but I got this feeling that Hayward is like kind of teaching him how to play small forward in the NBA.
Right.
Get to your spots. Don't try and do too much.
I've said this before, and I'm gonna say this again. Y'all better look out when Brandon Miller really gets comfortable in that offense, and he really gets comfortable, and his confidence is there. Y'all better watch out, man.
Yeah,
I think we really got one with Brandon Miller. It's gonna take some time, but when he gets there, it's gonna be something.
Yeah,
to see,
I think you can see the slight improvements with him every game.
Absolutely, man.
And he never looks flustered, even when he's not shooting well or doing he didn't look all that great against Indiana, and then the first game against Washington.
Yeah,
but he was. I thought he was making some ascension before he turned his ankle today.
So let me. I say this, man. I'm overall, man. The Hornets defense is frustrating, man. I think that's the most frustrating part about this team, man. But I feel like I have to say this again, man. We are, God, man. I don't know how many months we're removed from Miles Bridges not being on this team from last season. But let me say this. We still have not seen a full Hornets roster since, it's been like two seasons now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Look, man, and we try not to offer excuses because there are things that they obviously need to improve on. That's the obvious statement. But at the same time, I am still waiting on a full Hornets roster to see where we can really evaluate these guys, man.
Hey, is Cody Martin ever coming back?
So somebody made a post in the Hornets group. I forget who. I think it was Jamari, showing that Cody Martin was at least participating in drills. That's all I got. We haven't heard anything otherwise.
Is he going to be the same Cody Martin that he was defensively, at least?
Yeah.
He hadn't really played in 2 seasons. He played very, very limited minutes last season for a short while before going back on IR. So
I tell you what, I think me and you both agree. If we did get the old Cody Martin back, it would help tremendously.
I'll take broke down Cody Martin over
Maladon,
Taylor Maladon, Bryce McGowan's. And then playing Nick Smith Jr. with 5 minutes left in the game and a 20-minute blowout.
Right.
How much heat we giving Clifford?
Half, like 50%, because the other 50% of me says, dude, come on, man. Like, what coach can do anything with that bench? Let's be realistic, bro. Let's be real about that.
However, though, I don't know if he just don't want to see Mark Williams shine.
So me and you had a private conversation about Mark Williams. And I told you, and again, I think we forget a lot. God, I feel like I'm saying this with every player. Mark Williams' health, because Steve Clifford said something very vague about a week or two ago. It was very vague because I think Ashley was asking him about LaMelo Ball, and LaMelo Ball's, rust and shaking the rust off. And Steve Clifford said something to the effect of, well, LaMelo's going to get there. He's not there yet, and neither is Mark. He said Mark isn't there yet either. And I scratched my head like, what do you mean by that? Because we didn't get any really updates about Mark's health or not being in shape. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So I said it to say that had to be something,
So it is an interesting stat. They said this a lot during the game. The Charlotte Hornets are, at least before today, they're number one in the league in points in the paint, which a lot of people will say, well, yeah, we got Mark Williams and Nick Richards.
Right.
The Hornets have been top 10 in points in the paint in the league for the last 2.5 seasons, but last 3 seasons, essentially.
Right.
Scoring in the paint has never been a problem. I don't care how much you hated Mason Plumlee.
Right.
The Charlotte Hornets could always score in the paint. We still don't have enough shooters, because here's the problem. Mark Williams scoring like 1 million points in the paint is great. It doesn't mean jack shit
if you're giving up.
If you're giving up 3 point, I mean,
you're not making enough. To your point, let me tell you. Go look at damn near every box score this season. Damn near all of them. Look at the 3-point attempts and makes the other team makes versus ours. That is the story of the season.
We would have lost the second game against Washington because of that.
Yep.
If LaMelo Ball and Gordon Hayward didn't heat up from outside in the fourth quarter, that would have been the story of the game.
They outscored the Wizards 40-20 in the fourth quarter of that game. So it's like when this team decides they want to play defense, that kind of stuff happens. You understand what I'm saying?
I don't know. I don't know. The Hornets, it looks bleak for them. And I say this because how much of an impact do we really expect Miles Bridges to make?
He hadn't played basketball in...
If LaMelo Ball was rusty after, missing...
a couple of months.
Right.
Right.
What is Miles Bridges going to look like after missing a season plus?
Now, granted, he's not rehabbing an injury, but still, he hadn't played.
He's not in basketball shape. Right. I can guarantee that.
No doubt, because he ain't played a real game in 2 years. So
he's not going to come back and immediately score 20 points a game. He's not going to get the calls that he was getting.
With all that being said, Kaza, Steve Clifford made a quote today. he basically said Miles is coming back Friday, and he will play a significant role.
Yeah.
Maybe he knows something we don't know, but I think that was very telling. I do. Rusty or not, it feels like they're going to throw him out there. Rusty or not.
Hornets next opponents. Tuesday, they play the Miami Heat. Friday, the Bucks. That will be Miles Bridges' return.
Yep.
And then Saturday against the New York Knicks again before you guys see us. They're not going 3-0.
I'm not picking him. I'm not ever doing that again. I'm going 1-2.
I'm going to say 0-3.
All right, cool.
I don't think they win in any of these games. They're all home games.
Which doesn't seem to matter.
They could beat the Knicks. I think today the Knicks are a better team, but I don't think they're as good as the game today indicated.
Same.
That Brandon Miller injury
killed us. It killed us.
Terry
not being there.
Yeah. I think with Terry, Brandon Miller, and Miles Bridges coming back, that's a much better matchup against the Knicks.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, you reminded me of something. I think you'll agree with me on this. You think Julius Randle does all that today if Miles Bridges there?
No. Yeah. Come on, dog. JT Thor guarding Julius Randle. When I saw that,
it was a man against a boy today. He was abusing JT Thor.
And Julius Randle had been playing terribly.
But he saw JT Thor and
he was like,
get right, game.
I would have just told PJ, you playing 57 minutes, bro, in a 48-minute game.
PJ wasn't doing that much better against him, but he's
something
better than JT Thor, though.
Something.
Good God almighty, he abused that dude today, man.
Yeah, also, I mean, Mark Williams didn't look that great today as well. Mitchell Robinson's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
And I noticed that he looks bigger. He's like bigger than Mark Williams.
Right.
Mark Williams still, he's still got to get some time in the gym. He only had 4 rebounds today.
Yeah, that's not gonna cut it.
Yeah,
I don't like being overly critical of Mark Williams because I do like Mark Williams, but that kind of performance today ain't gonna cut it, man.
Yeah, it's not gonna. Nobody played well except for LaMelo today.
Yeah.
Even Gordon Hayward only had 6 points in 29 minutes.
You know why I give Gordon a pass? That dude is 34?
He's old as hell. Yeah.
Exactly. And he's been playing very well this season.
Also, the rotations get messed up when one of your starters goes down. Brandon Miller, before he went out, only played 10 minutes. He was leading all scorers with 11 points. He was 5 for 6 from the field, plus 4. 3 rebounds.
He was gonna go off today, man. I'm telling you, bro.
PJ was only 1 for 8. I don't know what.
Real quick, man.
Hey, shout out to Leaky Black.
Leaky Black got in the game before Nick Smith Jr.
And he played pretty well.
In the 2 minutes he played. And then Cliff was like, we've seen enough.
Leaky Black went 2 for 2. He was plus 13. By the way, PJ Washington was negative 30. LaMelo Ball was negative 30. Dog, if you score 32 points and you negative 32,
that means you're what on the defensive end?
Dog. What?
Hey, man, I've been reminded of something. Mark Williams didn't have a great game. Nick Richards had an undecent game, but both of them were in foul trouble. Wouldn't it be nice to have a third center? Wouldn't it be nice to have a third center? You know, kind of like a young, kind of bouncy guy who you could throw in there when your two centers.
Lukai Jones?
You know, instead of popping mollies and whatever, man.
JG says, explain plus minus so people understand the significance. What plus minus is, it's really a very contextual stat.
Absolutely.
Essentially, the difference.
It's a tough explanation, but go ahead.
Right. So it is essentially the difference in points scored versus points scored against when you're on the floor.
Right.
So if you are minus 32, that means the other team is 32 points better than your team is when you are on the floor.
Right.
Now, the reason that's a contextual stat because it depends on your rotation
and who you're playing with on the
floor and whatnot. There's a lot of debate over whether or not plus minus, or sometimes people call it box plus minus, really means anything at all because it's so dependent on rotations. But I'll just say that like negative 30, that's very bad.
That's significant. Yeah.
And to be negative 32 when you yourself scored 32 points like LaMelo Ball did, that's crazy.
That is.
That means that every time you scored a basket, you gave up 2 baskets for every basket you scored.
Now, for further context, and granted, I know he only played 10 minutes. Brandon Miller's plus 4. So just throwing it out there.
And yeah. Chris says, we done with the JT Thor experiment? Yeah.
We will be very soon.
I was thinking, I'd rather see Kai Jones out there high on Molly. At least he'd be like trying. I'm not saying that JT Thor's not trying, but it's like he was just overmatched today on both ends.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, but again, Miles coming back Friday, that's pretty much the end of JT Thor's regular rotation minutes.
Oh, no. Yeah. Because PJ Washington getting all the minutes.
That's it.
Or Miles Bridges.
Yep.
So. Chris says we always get a win against the Bucks. So I will say that.
True,
yeah,
man.
That's true.
Yeah.
LaMelo Ball plays pretty big against Milwaukee,
yep.
and it's a home game. That one might shock us. I'm still not picking them to win.
Same.
But yeah.
Same.
Also, the refs. I hate complaining about the refs.
But they
it makes
bad
me feel
today.
like a mark when I complain against the refs.
But they were bad.
They've been bad.
They were really bad today. And LaMelo was getting assaulted today.
Clifford, you gotta.
He did. He did. I saw a moment of time when he was getting on.
You gotta dig into the refs because it's just that you got to be consistent on both ends.
No doubt.
And it's like, okay, so you calling that cool, but you don't call it on them.
You know what I don't like, and this is a side note, and this doesn't mean too much, man, but it's a side note. I don't like when our announcers just say, "Oh, it's getting real physical out there." No, man.
Our announcers are actually, though, I will say this: they're the most unbiased announcers in the game. Sometimes to a fault.
Maybe I'm wrong. Be more biased sometimes, man.
A lot of people there's this perception that Del Curry and Eric Collins are big homers, but they're really not.
They're really not.
Sometimes I'd be like, y'all don't have to butter the other team up that much,
right? Because what's my man? Shit, man. You ever hear Tommy Heinsohn in Boston? Oh my god,
or Walt Frazier in New York?
Come on, man.
Hey, side note, real funny. It was great going back and watching the highlights on NBA.com because they had the Wizards broadcasters because it was a Wizards home game. So the Hornets were actually down by 11 in that game with about 7 minutes left to play, right? Which is like you should win the game at that point. Right. And especially the Wizards at one point have been up by much of 15. So the commentators were like, yeah, real fun basketball tonight. A lot of efficiency. They were just y'all having a good old time because it looked like their team was going to win. And then you can just feel the dread set in as the Hornets slowly started to come back.
And here comes Danny Thompson. I'd say that because I already know
what did the Falcons win today?
I guess the Falcons must have won today.
But they were playing like a team that was like 1-8 or something. I don't even.
Oh, just to kind of just because we're at a low point here, Adam Schefter just tweeted, CJ Stroud has entered the MVP conversation.
No. How about no? That's how.
You want to talk about a hot take?
That's a lava take.
Wow.
Wow. Lamar Jackson is like,
come on,
right. Am I a joke to you?
Yeah, seriously. Let's calm down a little bit.
Jalen Hurts is probably like, who?
Okay, man.
You know what I think that is? That's
they did beat the Bengals today, which is
a subtle dig at the Panthers.
It is
a very subtle dig. But see, here's what if we had drafted CJ Stroud, you, me, everybody in the chat knows what would have happened. CJ Stroud would have been having the same kind of season that Bryce Young is having, and Bryce Young would have been killing it in Texas. And you know what the narrative would have been? Man, see, we should have picked Bryce Young. But I digress.
So we said 1-2 next week, right?
I said 0-3.
You said 0-3. Okay.
I don't think these cats win another game.
It
depends on if Terry comes back. We just saw Terry's day to day.
Yeah.
Brandon Miller is day to day right now.
Right.
We don't. Miles Bridges is gonna look rusty and out of shape.
Right. I mean, hey man,
the Knicks are gonna feel like the Hornets can't compete with them next week.
I'll probably come here looking like a clown again next week. But I predict a different game against the Knicks. But I'll probably regret it. So
Stroud would consider retiring on our team. That's absolutely. Bryce Young is considering retiring.
Right. He looked defeated, boy.
That's like the first time I've ever seen Bryce Young just like.
You hear what Adam Thielen said? Somebody was like, I guess a reporter asked him, hey, the offense is not really clicking on all cylinders. He said, no, ain't no cylinders. He said, we ain't clicking at all.
No, of course not. I'm glad, and I wish he had been more harsh in his words.
Same.
I need a player to come out and be like, the coaching staff sucks, the offensive line.
I don't know what we're doing.
Garbage.
Right.
I want Adam Thielen to say, I'll be like, why am I the only guy out there running routes, getting open? Why am I getting 9 targets a game?
All valid questions. All of those are valid questions.
Yeah. Someone asked Frank Reich, I don't remember the exact question, so I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially like if he was concerned about his job security.
Right.
And he said, yes, this is the NFL.
Right. But he also said, I don't walk around on pins and needles, but yeah. But
you need to be
worried, bro.
You need to be walking around on
eggshells and pins and
needles,
glass.
nails, lava,
shark teeth.
Whatever. Yeah. You gotta do. I just feel like the situation is so drastic because the Panthers don't have a first-round draft pick.
Yeah. Which is not on right, by the way. But yeah.
And it's not on right. But
somebody
to Drell's point, Wright blew that game last week. He has not looked good coaching at all.
I agree.
He made a terrible call. The field goal kick, which we talked about earlier. I'm just, like I said, y'all think I'm kidding. I walked away from. I was like, I'm gonna go play RoboCop.
I shut down after that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go play RoboCop.
I shut down.
I didn't even watch the kick. When I saw the team come out, I just left because I knew he was going to miss that kick in Chicago. Because the kick was on target, but it was short.
Right.
Which
I wonder why.
Yeah, why. 59 yards. We know Eddie Pinheiro can put it that far.
What do they call Chicago again?
Yeah,
the not so windy city.
Yeah.
Idiot. Good God, man.
Everyone knows you don't kick long field goals in Chicago. You would think Frank Reich, who has been in the NFL in some capacity for
a lot of games,
for almost 4 decades, this man has, and you decide to kick a field goal in Chicago just to tie. That was just tie the game.
You can't make this stuff up, man.
You looking for a tie against a team that's 2-7, and your team is 1-8. Dog.
Hey, Kaiser, before the show, we were struggling to come up with a title for the show. I think we should have titled this one, It Could Always Get Worse, because every time we think we're at our low point with these teams, a lower point always happens after. And the Cowboys will even be a worse point next.
Yeah, it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Just terrible. But you know what? Actually, I hope the Panthers get rolled by like 50 points. I hope they get beat so bad.
You know what I want? I just want to see Tepper's face.
Yes,
show
first of all, he better be at the game. He better be.
Don't chicken out.
Yeah, you better be up in the skybox so the camera can zoom in on your rich ass.
I want you to sit with Jerry Jones just for the objects.
So I want you to be there, and I want to see you. You know, because here's the thing. Remember when Jerry Richardson would be at the.
Right.
The Panthers could be up by 700, and
he'll look the same.
The same, right?
He'll look the same. Yeah.
Right. Him and his cup of sweet tea from Bojangles. Tepper, we don't get that, right? He tries to look composed, but we know
it's like a fire.
Right.
In him.
Yeah. So I want you to be mad, and after that game, somebody has to get fired. Somebody must get fired.
I mean, you just fired your soccer coach who just made the damn playoffs.
Yes,
so I mean.
You fired your successful coach, but you're gonna you let Matt Rule hang around for 3 years. Just sometimes you just have to admit I made a mistake.
I wonder if like Christian Latanzio and James Borrego called each other like, "Hey man, what the hell is going on?"
Think about how many people have put curses on the city of Charlotte: Borrego, Wilkes, Steve Smith.
So what you're saying is Charlotte FC is going to suck next season?
Oh, yeah. They're going to be garbage.
Oh,
everyone curses Charlotte.
I remember. I still remember the blood and guts game where Steve Smith came back and gave it to us.
He told us what he was going to do.
And he did it.
He told us.
And he did it.
When I go play in Carolina,
this is what I'm
get your goggles. Y'all cut my lawn.
Oh, my God.
I'm glad the 49ers don't play the Panthers.
Oh, boy. All right, good. Chris McCaffrey had 300 yards against us. Man.
Yeah. I mean, we saw with DJ Moore, and here's the thing. They didn't even have to do that much.
They didn't. And both of them had just
pedestrian games.
But
that's all it took to beat the Carolina Panthers.
That's it. What's for dinner, man? I'm going to Red Man today.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I'm going to Red Man
might
today.
Do that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know if
you don't know. Do you want to eat?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what fans? Chat? What are we supposed to do? We got to do this.
Yeah.
Until next May,
right,
June.
Man. Just torture ourselves until then, man.
The Panthers, the stench of the Panther season will be over by January. Thank God.
Thank God.
We're almost done with this.
Right. But then we
got the Hornets.
And you got, who this. Look, man, at worst, the Hornets are just so damn unlucky. And then when they're not unlucky, they just fall short. It's just, oh boy.
Is Reich one and done?
Could be.
Yeah, Willie Smith says Tepper's not going to fire Reich because that extensive coaching search he conducted. That's right. Him and his wife.
His wife.
Who,
football guru.
I don't like to talk about people's wives. I don't want to talk about your family. So I'm not going to disparage her in that capacity, okay?
However.
I'm looking. I looked on Wikipedia and I'm looking at.
I didn't see credentials anywhere.
I didn't see David Tepper's wife in the front office. So why is she interviewing?
I didn't see any prior experience with other football.
Even the
teams.
NFL was like, "Hold up, what the hell?
Wait, time out. Let's investigate this ourselves."
Yes.
Right.
What are you doing? I love my wife to death, but you know what?
She ain't gonna be on under construction.
She's not gonna be interviewing interns for under construction.
Shout out to Sarah.
Yeah. I don't know. She might, because she's probably better than that than Tepper's wife is at picking a head coach. Obviously. When you had Steve Wilkes, Steve Wilkes right there. You had a coach.
Positive momentum building.
The players liked.
Positive momentum building. Don't leave that part out.
After the Panthers, the beginning of the season was a wash.
It's like you could see some light at the end of the tunnel.
I remember we were
identity.
like, we were like 3 wins. We were CJ Henderson away from beating the Bucks and winning the division.
Right.
It pains me every week to watch these.
I'm gonna say it one more time, man. God help us Sunday. I'm gonna just leave it at that, man.
You know, I'm gonna say something outlandish. When the Charlotte Hornets moved away the first time, I was pretty crushed. I wasn't living in Charlotte at the time. I was in the military, and I was in South Korea at the time. And so the last game at the Coliseum, somebody held up a sign that said, until the last second, the last buzzer, these are your Charlotte Hornets.
Man, that's
woo, boy, that
hit you in the heart.
That hit me hard.
Right.
I still have that picture saved on my computer from 20 years ago.
Wow, that's profound.
Yeah.
If
the Hornets left there, I'd be like, you know what? Go. Bye. Go to Las Vegas.
I'd still be crushed. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know why.
But you know why you'd be crushed? Because they go to Las Vegas and win a goddamn championship. They go to Seattle and be in the finals.
With the Oakland A's.
Right, yeah. Yep. Man, Las Vegas is a sports town. They got 3 championships.
All right, guys, I'm hungry, man. I'm getting out of here, bro.
We'll see y'all next week.
When
is the Million Cat March? They canceled it.
They canceled it, by the way. So we'll keep you updated on the rescheduled date.
I was gonna be a Karen. I was gonna call the police. Like, hey, it's some dudes, and I saw the flyer. It was a black dude on the flyer. CMPD, can y'all go take care of that?
I don't know who I'm more mad at, the organizer or the person who designed the flyer.
I'm just a shout out at the city of Charlotte
as a whole right
now.
It's just not good right now, man.
Just
open the damn episode. Something, man.
Something.
Can't win. Hurry up and open. It's something, man. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Ty. It was Veterans Day weekend.
No, hey man, salute to you, bro.
Yes, thank you very much. Day, yes, all the people who served. Our brother Vince Dunlap.
Yeah,
he's an Army guy, but he counts.
Yep.
So yeah, if Monday, Golden Corral is doing their Veterans Day dinner. So
you better go, man.
So I'm gonna go tomorrow.
Get some free food, bro.
Get some of that free food.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Before I forget, fans. As always, look, man, when Kaiser says we do this for y'all,
I'm telling you,
ain't no other reason. I'm not, this it's not me hyping y'all up or nothing. We do this for you guys.
Yep.
Again, we love y'all, man. Like, share, subscribe, spread the word, all that good stuff, man. Even if you don't, just come back and see us, man. So
we love you guys. Y'all have a good week. Don't let these Hornets and Panthers go out and enjoy life.
go.
Touch grass.
throw some leaves in the air.
Yes,
just get some sun. Yeah. Just take a break from these damn teams.
Forget about sports.
And we'll tell y'all about them next week, man.
Yeah. Love y'all. Peace out, y'all. Peace out.